I'm sure Leylah's going to give us some insight into her own health journey. So Leylah, we'll start with, I've got quite a lot of questions for you, but we'll start with you just going back to the beginning.
Okay.
So go back to a point where I know you was dibbling, dabbling in health, and obviously when did you take it more serious?
Um, I took it most seriously in 2016. Before
Okay.
that, as you said, dibbling, dabbling, but it's because I was always very small. So I saw that as a license to kind of eat whatever I wanted. It was very interesting because someone would be having a salad for lunch. I'd be having a Greg's pasty for lunch every day. And this carried on for ages. And then once I was a mature student, once I finished university, because obviously I was sitting down for very long doing my work, I noticed I'd put on weight. So
Yeah.
I started with a personal trainer, but I'll be honest, I never gave it 100%. I just gave it like, yeah, I'll eat the pasty and then run it off, and then eat the pasty and run it off. And that's how I worked for a while. But 2016, it became crazy because I started this new job, which involved sitting. I'd moved away from theater and all of that. I was in an office job, sitting down for hours, had a best friend, and between us, we worshipped food and we ate chocolate all day. And I had this pair of
Nice.
trousers I'll never forget. It always fit me. And then I went to this conference and I put these trousers on and it was tight. I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe in it. So when I came back, I knew something had to be done. Back then, a colleague of mine had just joined you and she was doing really well. So I
Okay.
spoke to her and I said to her, Kelly, you look great. Like I really need to sort myself out. And you just started the skinny jeans challenge. So I thought, you know what, let me go. Plus, I was about to attend a wedding in Kenya and my sister and I were always small. So I felt, we were like twins. And I'm like, I cannot stand near my sister because she will be so tiny and I'll just be massive. So yeah, so that's how I joined. And the
So
skinny jeans challenge.
just
Yeah,
to go
sorry.
back then, just to go back, when obviously, how old were you then? Don't mind me asking.
Must I? I was about 38 years old.
So
38, yeah,
obviously
38 years old, yeah.
so the interesting thing is obviously something to remember is obviously from the outside then people obviously appear obviously you're one of them people that everyone envies, right? Oh, she can eat what she wants, she won't put weight on, you're like eating a pasty and then like you said, someone sitting next to you eating a salad and struggling to lose weight, right? And you always go, oh, you must have a faster metabolism and all that jazz. But in actual reality, obviously, whilst when you're younger, you can get away with it. It does catch you up, though, doesn't it? Like you mentioned, it does catch you up. There's an element where eventually something does catch you up.
Absolutely. And the worst part of this is because I was not used to any kind of routine or habits or didn't even know how to go about like maintaining myself. It was really hard. And that's why for me, I feel my journey has taken even longer because it's taken me longer to learn those habits, habits I'd had for years and years, I had to unlearn. So I feel that's why it's taken me longer. Whereas I think if I was doing some of these things in my 20s, things would have been much different.
But the interesting thing is, a lot of people have that. I'm going to be honest. There's probably a lot of 20-year-olds in the 20s right now that probably have the same mentality towards food as you do, right? Or you
Yeah,
did, where
I did. Yeah.
fuck it, I can get away with this, I can get away with that, get away with this. Oh, I think it still looks alright, get away with this, get away with this. And then they get married, and obviously they blame it on the husband. But reality is, you just does that too much.
Absolutely. And between my husband and I, God, we love food. Anyone who knows us knows we love eating. I love cooking, so it was a very dangerous combination. And like I said, I had to unlearn a lot of things, and especially to get rid of my sweet tooth because I lived on desserts as well. That was lunch.
Give us some ideas what lunch would be then. So you'd have a Greg's. What else would you have?
Okay, this is disgusting. You will notice the Greg's was near my work. I'd eat the massive chocolate cake. Yeah, that would be my lunch. I would
That
eat.
sounds like Heeney Solanke.
I am not kidding. There was a period I thought I was doing something clever, but I'd eat like almost a whole pack of digestives because they would fill me up. But that's lunch. Yeah, so those are the kind of abuses I did to my body.
A pack of digestive is like flipping 1,200 calories.
I know, but I'd eat it all, and I'd be so happy as well.
At least you would be happy.
Yeah,
Because in terms of obviously cheeky, when you did the challenge, for example, obviously, how much weight would you say you had to lose? Because I did, ain't it right that you like, probably lost about 7 kilos, 8 kilos? Is that all overall, right?
yes, but yes,
Because
I lost about
we
that
stuck in
much.
one place for some time, didn't we?
Yes, and yeah, but I did the challenge, and I actually did it very well. I gave it my all because I had that thing that I'm going to Kenya. I can't stand next to Azzy. She's going to look like my child. I cannot stand next to her. So I had that in my head, and I just went for it. And even when I was at the wedding, I carried on. I carried on eating well and stuff.
And obviously throughout your challenge, then, so obviously you went to the challenge, did the 6 week challenge, and then obviously you came on board, right,
Yeah,
as a member,
yeah.
fully fledged member. What was that? What was that key decision for you? Just to know what this is going to be something I'm going to continue. What was that key decision for you?
I think it's because first I loved the coaches. Yeah, back then my coach was Caroline, but of course I had yourself as well. And first I liked that I had actually made a slight change. I'll be honest, I still wasn't giving 100%, you know. I'll be very honest. But again, like I said, it was because I had habits from a very long time. But for that period of time, I'd given it my all. And then I forgot that it's not going to be this intense all the time. So I carried on. I felt like I'll just turn up and I'll just lose weight, as if it works that way. So it was quite a shock when I understood, not realized, but understood that only when I put myself in will I see the result. It doesn't happen just like that. Turning up is not going to give you a result. You have to do stuff, you know. And I
Yes,
must say that even if I joined first, I had an injury, so that kind of really was not very
that's an
nice for
injury.
me.
We'll
Yeah,
touch on that because obviously while we're here then because
yeah.
obviously remember some people like to hear all the rising stars, but actually your injury, for example, how long was it for?
Oh
It's a
my
long
God,
time, right?
it took
I remember.
forever. And it was so heart-wrenching because I'd turn up to the gym, I'd see everyone working so hard, and I'd be there with my little peanut going like that for like a good 20 minutes. And I'm so grateful for Helen, because Helen was just fantastic. She would come over, look at me, and say to me, Leylah, please, no, you won't be in this position forever. I know you want to do
Yeah,
stuff.
because
I know,
you had pain here,
yeah,
didn't you?
yeah, in my shoulder.
A lot. It just
Yeah,
wouldn't go. What would you
I had
say?
a,
What would you say? What was it in the end?
it
Was it
was a
stress?
tear. It was a tear.
Tear. Oh yes.
Yeah, so I don't know what
Yeah.
I'd done because I do crazy things. Um, and yeah, so it was a tear and it took long to heal, but it was fantastic because I was so supported. But one thing I had in my mind, and I'm grateful I had that in my mind, is even if I'm injured, I'm still going to turn up. That turning up was the first thing. Like, even if I'm not going to be able to function at 100% or even 50%, turning up itself is a change in my brain because I'm not used
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
this. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
what I did. I just kept turning up. Then I kept getting stronger and stronger. And then I started watching others and I started noticing some people were working really hard and you could see the change. So they will have started, and then after 6 months, they looked awesome. And I'd say to myself, Leylah, what are you doing? That person started after you. Look where they are right now, and what are you doing? Yes, we have a different journey. Keep saying that to yourself in your head, but snap out of it and work. It helped to train with certain people, be in at a certain time, watch certain people and train with them and try and keep up with the energy without them knowing. So I'm not scaring them away or something, but that kind of really helped me. So I don't know if you noticed, after a little while I started coming in at a different time. I started working harder, you know and all of that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think in the last 14-15 months came the food came to me quite late because I was refusing to let go. I was just like, food, no, 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 no. I must carry on eating everything. And then it's only when I slowly understood I can still enjoy everything. I just don't have to go crazy. That's all, you know. And even now, I strongly believe I eat everything. My mom always says that. She says, Leylah eats everything, just that she won't go crazy. You know, she'll have a splurge or she'll do this or whatever. She doesn't, you know, go crazy. So that was the change.
Yeah, because going back to your injury, because obviously some people like remember an injury in the shoulder region. She had a tear here, right? So she couldn't lift her arm up, she couldn't do weights. So for example, you got to understand there's a large percentage of time where it was a bit of more rehabby, a lot more legs. But you got to understand what that does subconsciously as well. Remember, unconsciously it depresses you, it suppresses you as well because you're like, got an injury, got an injury, got an injury, got an injury. It took a lot of work. I'm going to be honest as well. I'm going to be honest. Leylah probably spent in the best part of 1,500 quid just trying to fix an injury,
True,
right?
true.
Because obviously
Yeah,
you went to Function Jigsaw. You obviously started seeing Jules. You obviously then started to go 2 times a week, and so forth and so forth, right? You was really, but the interesting thing is when you start to feel it getting better, the money was a side effect really, because ultimately then you just started going more, right? Start to see Julie
absolutely.
more and more and more and more because obviously you start to see progress, and it comes down to that really. And
Yeah,
obviously as that got better, then you started to change. But one thing you've probably done in the probably last 18 months, which is it's a really good thing you do. I don't know if you do, you know, you do it consciously, but what Leylah does, guys, is when Leylah feels like she's slipping, or for example, Leylah will do this. So if she was going to come to a session at 6:30, so the night before, she'd message me, go, Sam, I don't need a reply, but just to let you know, I'll be there at 6:30. Right? And that's Leylah's accountability to herself because she said she's going to do something. And I don't know if everyone has read Leylah's post in the group lately. She says when she says she's going to do something, she always ends up doing it. Um, but where did that come from, Leylah? Where did that like initiation? What was that accountability layer that you was putting on yourself? Where did you get that from? Is that something you've always done to yourself in your career, or?
it's something I've done in my career. I work for the Royal Air Forces Association, right? People around me are
Yeah.
very regimented. My boss is my favorite boss ever, and I hate that I'm going to be losing her. But it's something I've learned from her. Setting objectives, setting
Okay.
yourself, you know, a target that you're going to do this. And I realized that in my career, every time I met a target, I felt fantastic, you know. And then I felt that sometimes if I ever, not that I do, but if I ever wanted to call in sick, I'd think, no, it's so much pressure on Alison. Even if I'm not feeling well, I'll just go in, you know, because I don't want that pressure on her. So what I started doing, especially when I was on holiday, and like Sam said, he'd probably not even reply. He's probably sleeping. I'm in Seychelles or in God knows what, where, another part of the world. You know, Sam's probably sleeping, but I want to go to the gym in my holiday, wherever I am. I drop him a text saying, Sam, I know you're sleeping or you won't reply. I don't even care if you don't see this, but I'm going to the gym in half an hour. And then I'd get up and go because I know that I've said to Sam I'll go. He probably has 1,000 things to do, but because I've said that, I will go and do it. So yeah, that's where it comes from.
You do that quite often now, though, don't you? You do. It's quite a
Yes.
little. It's quite a little. It's like an internal pep talk to some degree as well, isn't it?
Yes, and because you've got it, I feel even more accountable because I just feel, like I said, I don't like letting people down. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things about myself. I hold very proud. It's I take pride in not in making sure I don't let people down. So by not going, I'd feel like I'm letting you down, but I'm not really. I'm letting myself down by not going. But still, it really works for me. Also, when I'm about to eat something, like, you know, I'm about to eat cake or something, and I really shouldn't. I've had my splurge that week. So I'll just drop a photo to Sam saying I was about to eat this. I've sent you the photo. Now it won't happen because you know of it. So yeah, it's not going to happen.
And that comes down to guys being transparent with yourself and being honest. Remember that we always talk about honesty with food, but actually, the moment you like Leylah just mentioned when she's about to embark on a splurge or something, she'll take a picture of it, knowing that she's already consciously she's in the moment. Where most people eat very reactively, unconsciously. Leylah's very brought food to the conscious. One thing that me and Leylah used to talk about quite a lot was this special cupboard,
Oh yes, the special
right?
cupboard. Yeah,
There's a special cupboard at work, guys. Special cupboard, and this cupboard obviously pre-COVID was never empty,
yeah.
never empty. It was what did it have, tell us what it had in, Leylah?
Okay, it was a bottomless cupboard. This is the cupboard that made my trousers not fit me. It was a bottomless cupboard of chocolate and sweets and biscuits and crisps. And so, because where we work, the nearest supermarket is quite far and it takes quite a lot of effort. So, whoever went there and there'd always be deals because it's a supermarket. So, they'd bring in a huge stash, fill this cupboard, and whoever was hungry or wanted to snack or whatever, would go to this cupboard and just eat. And I used to be one of those people, but I just stopped. I actually stopped contributing to the cupboard because that way I don't feel like I have the right to touch it. And then secondly, I just stopped going to that cupboard. It so happens it's very good now with COVID because the cupboard's still there. We've got a new health and safety officer who sits next to the cupboard, and he's seen me take a biscuit from there last week, and he said, "Stop sharing food." And I was like, "Yes, you just carry on sitting here. I like you because it means I'll not touch the cupboard."
Right? And so people watching this, I think you can relate back, obviously, pre-COVID, for example. I think you all can relate to somewhere when you're working like an open plan office or with other people. There's typically always a birthday. There's always biscuits around. There's always sharing and caring and stuff like that. I.e., what would be what was your next tip on that, Leylah? How did you overcome it? Because obviously it was quite a big factor. So what was the turning point for you, in overcoming not going to the cupboard?
I think one of the biggest things was that it was the fact that if I wanted to get to a certain weight, and I knew that if I carried on snacking, it was never going to happen, no matter what I did. So what I did is I'd have my breakfast and then I'd hold myself. I'd just say to myself, all right, this is it. The next time you're going to eat is going to be lunchtime. That cupboard does not exist, all right? And I also found another thing I found very interesting during lockdown is I cooked a lot of Indian sweets, right? And in doing that, I actually saw what went into these things. We're talking about Indian sweets. And that put me off for life because I was like, how much sugar, how much butter, it's things I wanted to learn how to make for years and I'd never made, and I'm glad I'd never made. But because I
What? So
did this, I
your
did,
mum's only just started to teach you right now?
you know what? I refused to learn when I was young. That's another story. But others knew how to do it. And I was like, yeah, I want to learn. Then I was like, this is it. Put me off for life. I'll enjoy a piece of chocolate burfi maybe when it's Diwali. But yeah, no, it just put me off. So, but that's how I overcame that cupboard because it told me that those are the sorts of things in the cupboard as well. They look brown,
Yeah.
but they're still the same thing. And also, yeah, so just knowing what's in it.
Oh wow. So give us an example then. How much butter do you put in one cake?
Okay, so a cake. Oh, this is how I view a cake now, by the way. So initially, a cake was a cake. Like I said, that big, I'd eat it all. I would, and I'd manage as well. I was the tiniest girl on stage when we were on theater, but I'd eat the whole cake, right? Okay. Then I used to bake, but I never paid attention. But now when I look at a cake, a third of it is butter. All right.
Oh,
So
okay.
if I look at a piece of cake, I'm like, that much is butter, that much is sugar, and then the rest is white flour. So actually, the whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, is not something I should be indulging in often. So that's how I started viewing a cake.
Oh, nice. But that's good though. It's good that you're using visual representations of things because then that's how you're interpreting calories or whether it's nutrient dense or not, right? It's a good
Yep,
way to look at it. And obviously, like I said, it's putting that conscious spin on things.
yep.
Because one of your big things was always snacking, though, wasn't it? It was always about snacking. Every time we had a one-to-one, Sam, I'm snacking too much. Sam, I'm snacking too much.
Yeah,
Sam, fast forward, I'm snacking too much. Fast forward, I'm snacking too much. Leylah, I had this 2 weeks ago. Leylah, I had this 2 weeks ago.
yeah. Snacking again came from a habit of a lifetime because what I used to do, I was never a person who had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I grazed the whole time. So
Yeah, you told
actually,
us you had Greg's
yeah,
um, chocolate biscuits, and then that's
yeah.
it.
So I'd graze, and because I'd graze, I had no account of how much I had eaten. So I would
Yeah.
probably will have overeaten, and then by the time it came to dinner, I'd eat very tiny portions. And Sam or my mom would be, "Oh my God, she doesn't really eat. Look at her plate." Them not knowing I have probably eaten 3 times that or 4 times that just by grazing.
And you're telling them, yeah, I've not ate much all day. Yeah, I've not ate much all day.
Yeah, I don't eat, I'm just like that.
Well, your waistline's getting bigger.
Yes, those trousers didn't lie, trust me.
It didn't lie. What would you say? Obviously, getting into weight training. How do you find weight training now? Is it something you enjoy? Is it? How would you describe it to yourself now?
I think for me, it's very much become part of my daily routine or my daily life. It's actually really
Yeah,
shocking because the day lockdown was announced the first time round, I was in the gym, and that morning I trained very hard. I'll be honest, I felt I trained the hardest I'd ever trained. And then later we were told we have lockdown, and I actually cried because a part of my lifestyle had
Oh,
been taken away. Yeah. And
yeah.
Sam and my family are so kind. Sam, bless him, he called his sister, and the next hour my brother-in-law came over with all these little weights and stuff, and he's like, oh, don't cry, you can carry on and all that. But I sat there and analyzed the situation, and I'm like, I need a strategy. And I actually realized I can't control the gym closing, but what I can control is the one thing I resisted all this time, and that is my food. This is the
Yeah.
time where I can really just control what I'm eating. I can carry on training, with the little weights I have. I can walk, I can go to the park or whatever. But that's when my food kind of readjusted. But I really pretty much see training as part of my life. Even when I go away, the first thing I look at is where if there's a good gym where I'm going, because I will go and train on my holiday. Like I said, I'll drop you a message if I don't want to go. But more than likely, I'll just turn up. And even if I'll go on the bike for a bit, I will have done something.
I'd love to go train where you go on holiday.
You're welcome, Sam.
In terms of obviously the lockdown, because obviously I remember a conversation in lockdown. Obviously, there's an element where you weren't going out at all, though, right? When we talked
Yes,
about the walking element.
yeah, I
Would you,
actually
and
didn't go
obviously,
out.
yeah.
Sorry, Sam, go ahead.
No, no, you go ahead, because obviously we're just talking about it. So obviously there's an element where you didn't go out at all, right? And there's an element where
Yeah,
we had this conversation where I said you got
yeah.
to get out, yeah. And what was happening to yourself in that time?
Right. So it was very psychological. I refused to go out. One, because I'm a stickler for rules. I'm like, the rule says don't go out, don't go out. Where I live, they're idiots. Like even yesterday, I was so mad. People were kind of walking too close to me. But also, my mother lives with me and she's kind of vulnerable. So I didn't want to be in a situation where I was bringing her germs back or something. So I would
Yeah.
walk in the house, I would train in the house, everything was
How
being
many
done
steps
in the
would you do in the
house.
house?
20,000 at one time. Sad
What,
but
in the
true.
house?
In the house, I
In the
swear
house?
that floor is just worn out. So,
What would you do? Walk around the house or walk up and down the stairs?
thankfully, from my front door to the back of the kitchen is a long corridor. So and to the point, Sam calls me the ghost lady because, he'd be sleeping upstairs. Our timings are very different. I'm an early person. He's a late person, So poor thing, he'd be fast asleep at 5 in the morning and I'd be walking up and down this corridor, you know, uh,
Would you walk it with
like
any headphones in or just walk?
I just walk. I'm very happy by myself. I like to think, when I'm walking, I'm just thinking. At work, lunchtime walk, I love it. It resets me, but it gives me a chance to process a lot of stuff, reflect, So I actually don't even listen to anything. I just walk. So he calls me the ghost lady. But then I remember you saying there's a boot camp and turn up to it, and I actually didn't show up.
She booked it,
I was
guys,
like,
and didn't turn up.
yeah, I actually
First
just, I
time,
didn't,
first time, first time. She said she would come and then didn't turn up. But
I
this is an
actually
important. This is an important lesson. Why didn't you turn up?
I was just okay. I was really worried that I wasn't fit enough. I didn't feel I looked good enough. I didn't feel like I looked like I used to look in my gym clothes. Yeah. Completely forgetting that's what gym is for me to go and look good, not for me to turn up already good, you know. So, yeah, those are my main concerns. And because I didn't want to get out of the house, full stop. So I did
Yeah.
not turn up. And then I was isolated for 14 days. So that was my very good excuse for not turning up the next time. But yeah, but once I turned up, there was no stopping me. I really enjoyed the session. I'd be there pretty much every day, you know, but also my mind changed because I'd always known the gym. I'd always known I turn up, I train here. But the boot camps were fantastic. I was outside. I had adapted. I was feeling good. Sarah was fantastic. You know, the girls I trained with were excellent. You know, they would turn up just like me almost every day. We'd work really hard, and it was so nice to train with them. And that's why when you said we might not be able to have boot camps, but we're going to be training online, I was like, this time I am not going to say no. I will go with it. I'll give it 100%. It's nothing different. It's just that I'm in my house. That's all. And yeah, I have been
What I
already.
would say, what I would say on that is probably what you want to do, Leylah, is reach out to all the people. This goes for everyone on the boot camps. If you was in a selective group, whether it's half six, for example, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, reach out to the people in that team, message them, then buddy up with them to make sure they do an online workout. Because the
Yep,
people that are doing boot camps don't realize how challenging it is to adapt to online, right? But a bit like Leylah, it's basically creating a buddy system where you create accountability to the other person, and therefore it allows you both to show up, right?
yep.
That's the only way to do it in some respects. It's a bit like when Leylah messages me that she's going to do this, this, and this. It's the same thing. So I definitely recommend messaging each other if you was on the part of the boot camps to see if the people that were at the boot camps want to buddy up and actually do a class together.
I
I
actually
think it'd be
really
important.
enjoy Heather's sessions, Sam. It has changed a lot from back in April or whenever, because obviously I'm on Zoom and she can
When
see
she
me.
was when she was a novice.
Not that she was a novice. I think we were all learning at the time. And I also
Yes.
think that because I wasn't on Zoom, she couldn't see me. I won't lie. There was one day I sat there watching her instead of doing stuff because I felt so disengaged. But now that I'm on Zoom and she can see me, I know she'll kick my butt. So I just have to, give it 110%.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? I think don't get me wrong, you're not the only person to say that to me. I had one lady said something. I was training and I was too tired, so then I sat down for a bit. I sat down longer than I needed to, then got up and then did a bit more. I was like, was that a workout? Are you telling yourself that's a workout and you earned a bit of cake? Because in my eyes, you didn't earn jack. If anyone's
Yeah, no.
watching and that's what you do, guys, remember the thing is for Facebook, this is the interesting thing. If I pulled it from Facebook, would you go on Zoom? And the thing is, if people are scared to go on Zoom, I challenge you to go on Zoom because you actually probably find it's actually more interactive, more fun, a lot easier, and you're getting more encouragement. Whereas when you're looking at a screen of Facebook and no one can see you, it's not the same feeling.
I agree with you. I made that switch, a couple of days ago, and I personally absolutely loved it. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Good. Well done, Leylah. Right, Leylah, I've got some questions for you. I know. Let's fire some of these out for you.
Okay.
Um, what rituals or habits do you have to stay in a positive mindset? Would you say you're always in a positive mindset, or can you switch out of it, in and out of it?
Do you know what? Mostly positive, but it has come with time. It didn't, there was a time, and Sam, you know this, I'd be miserable and had been miserable for weeks. And now I have learned to meditate, but most importantly, I have learned, I choose how my day goes. If I get up and if I'm feeling a bit down, because sometimes you do, some things are going on and all of that. If I choose, I make that decision. So if I wake up and I'm feeling miserable and I say, oh yeah, I'll just be miserable all day, then that's how it will go. Or I can choose, yes, things are not great. I will be as positive as I can. I will do what I can, control what I can, what I can't control. We'll just have to go. And I choose to be happy today. And that's what I say to myself every morning. Yeah, so
Because it goes
that's
back to
what I
that.
do.
That's like my post in the group, though, isn't it? About at the end of the day, perception and things like that all come down to ourselves. It all comes down to us.
Yeah,
I think you've just hit the nail on the head. We all wake up. Guess what? I wake up not motivated some days. I wake up not happy some days. But then again, there's an element where we have to choose to look at some positiveness, right? Look at
yeah,
what is positive, and you have to find it. It's not easy. If it was very easy, the ironic thing is, if it was easy, everyone would do it, but it's not easy. So that's why a lot of
yeah,
the population are in a negative headspace. Because it's not easy to find the nooks and crannies of happiness or do things that make you happy. And I think that
Absolutely.
there's definitely a saying, do what makes you uncomfortable. I believe in
Yeah.
that saying. Do what makes you feel uncomfortable, because actually then it becomes comfortable, and therefore you grow. Whereas continue to do all the things you're always comfortable with, you never
Yeah.
grow, and then you moan about that you're not growing. Quite ironic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just like the situation I was talking about, my favoriteest boss in the world is leaving. My team has changed completely. I don't know what will happen next. Most of the people I sit with are moving and all of that, and it can be quite unnerving. It's quite a lot of change. But I keep saying to myself, first, change is inevitable. If I'm miserable, will they stop? No, they need to retire. They'll still have to retire. I will have to adapt, and I'm happy. Challenges are good, change is good, let's go. That's become my thing, but it's come over time.
Of course, I believe it. I believe the headspace it does come over time. It does come with perseverance and patience, definitely. Right, next thing for you then. What's been your biggest challenge since you started your journey?
Oh my God, as I said earlier, food, because I worship food. And if you even look at,
Worship. That's a great
oh
word.
my God,
Worship.
I worship food. But it's even now, if you look at my plates that I post in accountability, Sarah and I joke because she says they look like I'm trying to be master chef. And I'm like, yes, because even if it's simpler than I would eat, like it's not calorie heavy, I'm trying to make it as pretty as possible so that it appeals to me. It looks like that calorific meal. It isn't. So I absolutely love food. So to change my mindset in terms of food was the most difficult thing for me. But I think I'm just about there. I do fall off sometimes, I'll be honest. But like I said, I speak to Sam, we have our catch ups, and then I kind of try and realign myself again.
Nice. Here's one for you. How have you felt your body change over the years?
Oh my God. Okay. From skinny to bigger to, I actually feel stronger now. The word
I'm gonna
right
say,
now.
if you'd have used that word skinny again, I'd have jumped through the camera and give you a big slap.
No, 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 I'm not skinny. I am actually strong now. I used to be skinny, like very small and, like not strong. But now I feel strong. I feel like I can lift stuff, move stuff. I am always up to walk. My back is very strong. My shoulder is amazing. I go and do all kinds of things. So I would call myself strong now.
Stronger than Sam then, ain't you? Really, let's be honest.
I actually am sometimes, and I do show off as well.
Might as well, trust me, might as well. Remember doing them step ups with them 16-kilo kettlebells. Come on, Leylah, pick these up.
Yes, and the 40
Pop.
kg bar, remember?
Yeah. Hip bridge. Boom,
Yeah,
boom.
the hip bridge, yeah. So
Easy.
yeah.
That strong ass. Perfect. Um, who's your biggest inspiration?
Well, it depends. I am really boring like that. I'm not a great follower of people or whatever. I just feel everyday things inspire me. Like I said, I turn up to the gym,
You could
just
have said
watch.
you could have just said my name. That'd have been quite simple,
Oh,
Leylah.
actually, Sam, it's not. It's like I said, everyday people, everyday things are inspirational in themselves. We don't need
Yes.
big inspirations. Sometimes even our
Yeah, yeah.
everyday things around us are inspirational. So yeah, that's how I go. I'm very bad at being a fan of anything. I'm not a fan of anybody. I'm not a fan of anything. I just go with the flow. Boring.
Everyone sees you just sitting on the bike, just chilling,
Just
thinking. You
chilling.
know when it comes in, you know when you come in. You used to come in like quarter to like flipping out 6:30, and then we were done by 5 past. And everyone's like, "Why is Leyla on the bike? She actually had a workout." Yeah, she had a workout. She's just been here too early. Um, what's your biggest highlight?
My biggest highlight has been actually strength. Those days when I used to lift those hip bridge things, oh my God, I felt like over the world. I was like, I can do that, like me, a skinny me, like my legs were so like that, and I can do that. That is fantastic. That was my highlight, actually. So I'm looking
Nice.
forward to coming back to the gym when it's, you've got it all set up. And attempt that again.
Trust me, I'll just chuck it on you. Leylah, catch it.
Yes, I think it will be a while, Sam.
I don't think so. I think you'll be fine. How's your outlook changed or differed from the first lockdown?
Um, okay, I think we had this conversation as well, where I was just saying that in the first lockdown, it felt very doom and gloom, but it was also the media, it was something new we'd never experienced and all that. And so I kind of felt very doomy and gloomy. And the good thing is, I'm a very homely person. So is my husband. For people who travel a lot, we are really happy to be at home for a change. So we were so happy in our little bubble. But what this time I have found that last time was actually not that bad. So I am happier to go out because that's what I wasn't doing the first time. I'm happy to go for my walk. Like yesterday, it was dead foggy and I was walking, and then I realized that someone could kill me. But, all of that. So, yes, over dramatic always. But yeah, so I just feel that we're not in the same boat. As someone said, we're in the same storm, yes, but it's not as bad as sometimes it's made out to be. I think people should still carry on looking after themselves, and if they can go out, then they should. If they can walk, then people should walk.
Great advice there. You did about over 30,000 steps yesterday, didn't you?
Not quite, but 26. It was still a
I'm
lot.
gonna
I
say,
did walk.
I looked on the tracker today. I was like, that's above 20. Oh, that's close to. Oh, man, it's a lot of steps. A lot of steps. I think you need to do the floorboards in your house, redo them.
Floorboards, but this time, Sam, I'm walking outside. I actually go out of the
Oh,
house.
okay.
Yeah, I actually just go and walk in random places. I try not to go to the park because it's full of people and all of that. I actually walk by the roads quite a lot. So yesterday I went to town. I don't buy anything. I walk around the clock tower and then I go home. Boring, I know.
No, definitely not. Gives you a challenge to walk there and walk back.
Yes,
How, how long does it take?
from my place about 36 minutes.
What, there and back or there?
No, there. And then I'll
Oh,
walk back. So I like that measuring that, and then sometimes setting myself a target of doing it quicker as well, and
just
stuff
run.
like that. Yeah.
Just run there now. There.
Sam, I'm not a great runner. Having
I've
said
seen you
that,
running.
I've improved. Sarah was so proud of me the other day, and she said when I come back, she wants to carry on seeing that because I wasn't as bad as I was when I started. So, yeah.
Next one for you. What goals are on your next journey? So what would you say like your next 12-month journey is in terms of you in general?
Me in general, first of all, I would like to carry on turning myself because it is my 20th wedding anniversary next year.
Oh,
So
wow.
I would like to go away to Bora Bora, to French
Ooh.
Polynesia. Yeah, all
What
these
made you go to
dreams in
Bora Bora?
lockdown. I went to Hawaii for our 10th or 11th or something. And Sam, back then I had just started turning podgy. Uh, and
Sam,
I,
that was a dig. That was a dig, mate. That was a slight undercut dig. That was podgy.
no, I started turning podgy, not Sam.
Oh, I thought you
And
meant Sam.
yeah, and I remember wearing these bikinis and just not feeling very comfortable in them. So this time, for our 20th wedding anniversary, I want to go away to Bora Bora because Hawaii was gorgeous, and I hear that French Polynesia is even prettier. So I want to go off there, and I want to wear my nice bikinis and flaunt myself. And these shorts I have from Hawaii, which look great now, I want to wear those. That time they didn't. So that's my plan.
Mate, it sounds like you're dead set now. What we need to do?
Yes, I shouldn't have told you this, should I?
No, because every time you tell me you ate a big cake or something, I'm just gonna say, what about these? What about that holiday? What about Bora
Oh,
Bora?
yep.
That's nice. Right. One more question for you. Dum, 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 dum. What keeps you moving when you can't be bothered?
Do you know what? It's very rare that I can't be bothered. I've set myself a step target of about, as you know, 18,000 a day. So I just feel like I really must do that. But this morning, for instance, what kept me moving was Romeo is here. I know I need to spend time with him. I don't want to necessarily sit down. So I started dancing with him and was shuffling for a good hour or something, you know. So that was good. And the plan is in a minute to have lunch and then take him out for a walk, go walk with him. So that way I'll get more steps as well. But I think the steps target really helps because I just feel that I need to reach that at the minimum. If I get anything more, then it's a bonus. If I don't, then, you know, I need to carry on moving.
Because you have the thing is what people forget. You have a full-time job as well, don't you?
Yes, and I actually start work very early as well. By 8 o'clock, I'm already working. So that's why the
What
gym,
time do you finish?
I finish at 4, but I'm an early
4. So
riser. Yeah.
yeah, no. But what I'm trying to get at is that, for example, you I don't want people to look at this and go, "Oh, Leylah does 18,000 steps. You must have an easy life." It's not an easy life, right? You obviously got a full-time job, but you still
Yeah.
get 18,000 steps in a day.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but it's because it's a target. And like I said, I don't like letting people down. So I shouldn't be letting myself or my step count down either. So I just keep walking.
I think it comes back down to having that thing like you just mentioned, the highest standard, right? If you ask your highest
Yeah.
self or your highest value self, what would you do? Well, I wouldn't let
Yeah.
myself down. And why would you let yourself down then, right? Because actually, a lot of
Yeah.
people set things. A lot of people set things, but don't set it with the intention of doing it. The most majority of people I know set things because the initial part of setting something feels good, so it feels
Yeah.
like they're doing something towards their goals.
Yeah.
But if they don't execute it, that part doesn't matter. But actually, it's the execution part that matters the most. Because if you do the execution, actually, naturally, you're going to feel a lot better anyway, right? Rather than
Absolutely.
setting a
Yeah.
plan, setting
Yeah.
a plan and actually not doing it, you're just kidding yourself, really.
Yeah, and also my advice would be don't go crazy and start setting 18,000 straight away, you know. It's taken me time. So, you know, I used to do 10 and then I started doing 12, then I started doing 13. Then once I tasted 18, I was like, this is achievable, you know, so I'll do that. Now, yesterday I went crazy and did 26,000. So I've tasted that and I'm tempted to replicate that today. So obviously I'll try my best. So that's how it works.
Yeah. I think it's like anything. I think we live in a society where people want the bigger pot or the gold at the end of the rainbow. But you have to remember, you have to set something. You have to be very patient with goals. You have to be very patient with yourself. Patient in yourself where you don't give yourself too much leeway, but you still get the things done that you said you would do. So if you say you're going to train 3 times a week, train 3 times a week. If you say you're
Yeah.
not going to snack, don't snack, right? If you say you're going to do 5,000 steps, do 5,000 steps.
Yeah.
Because the moment you give yourself the leeway, the moment you obviously open yourself up to self-doubt, and when you open yourself up to self-doubt, that's the moment you open yourself up to failing, really, overall. So, Leylah, we all want to see 26,000 steps. She said it right, guys. We'll hold on to that. She's committed.
Halfway there.
Let's see. Oh, flipping hell, what's the time? 12 o'clock and you're halfway there.
Yeah, and I'm about to go for a walk. So yeah, let's see if I can do it. Don't expect it during the week because I do have a job, but at the weekends, yes.
Right, guys. People watching, how many steps you done so far? Because I think I'm going to be honest, Leylah's just made me feel really guilty. I've been for a walk this morning, but probably not to the extent of 13,000. So I'll leave that with everyone. But guys, does anyone have any questions for the beautiful Leylah? If you do, then post them and then I'll ask her for you. If not, me and Leylah will call this a goodbye for now, not forever. And she can get on with her steps, and then I can get on with doing some work. So, Leylah, how many times you training this week?
5.
5. Every
Yeah,
day.
every day.
What time?
6:30
AM.
a.m. Yes.
Oh, guys, so in the morning cruise, you want to see Leylah, 6:30 AM, 5 days a week. And then obviously 18,000 steps on top.
Yes,
But
during the week.
Miss, during the week. During the week 18, weekend 26. Right, Leylah. I think Miss Sejo said, I'm glad no one killed you, which is really nice. But yeah, I think it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to see you, Leylah. You look beautiful as always.
Thank you.
So have a good day, and I'll speak to you in the week, ready to rock and roll for 5 sessions, 18,000 steps. There you go. You just made a statement. Now you best do it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Legend. See you
Bye.
later. Bye.